Hey everyone, FRATER Super Rabo here again, and welcome to the Magick Armory, where we are still, that's right, the home of common sense occultism, and help you enhance your magic arsenal. Thank you for joining me today. Really quick, I'm going to say it because, I have to. If you're new and you haven't already done so, please look below, find that big red button that says subscribe, and hit that for me right now. Then look to the right or somewhere in that area, and you're going to see a bell. Now, you want to make sure you hit that bell as well. That way you're notified each and every time we upload new content to this channel, and you can watch it as soon as humanly possible. And, of course, one last thing. Please remember to like and share this and all videos. Helps us out a whole bunch, and it goes a very long way. It's very much appreciated. So, again, I will thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. I'm excited. If you've looked at the title, you know what we're talking about today, and that is the continuation and the beginning of the Magical Weapons series, or the Magical Tools series. I'm going to just call them weapons from now on because I think it's fitting with the new name change, and Magical Weapons just sounds cool. So I'm all about that. And yeah, so Magical Weapons, that's what we're going with. Specifically today, we are going to discuss the element of earth and the pentacle or pantacle. There's a preference thing there with some people where they prefer to say pantacle or pentacle. I'll leave it up to your discretion. Sometimes I say one, sometimes I say the other. I think some of the confusion with that has to do with the whole Pentacles of Solomon thing, which is a whole nother topic, and that's not what we're getting into today, but it's just where my mind went. So yeah, I had to say it. Anyway, the pentacle, that's what I'm going to call it today. The pentacle, the earth pentacle, and the element of earth. Now, this is going to be probably a pretty lengthy series, so sit back and enjoy the ride, hopefully, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And even with this one subject in general, we could go a couple different directions. Now, I gave you guys some homework the last time. I don't know if you read it or did it or not, but I asked you to look at Crowley's Book 4, Liber Abba, and his section on the magical weapons. Now, that's not where I'm going in this video. Don't worry. There's not going to be a test, folks. But yeah, that's not where I'm going today. This kind of general view of the pentacle from the concept of AA. That's not what this video is going to be about. Now, I will get into that at another time, more than likely. But like I said, if you read through it, you see this this idea, this concept where he states these these pretty amazing that the Pantacle is the food of the soul of the magician, the bread of life itself, or something along those lines. And I'm not going to talk like that, and that's not the direction we're going in with this video. Most people, when they start out, and this is kind of going to be geared towards the beginner, but it's good for everyone. So, adepts, hang tight, stick with me. Where was I going? Oh yeah, most people when starting out and they get these primer books or whatever, a lot of times there is this section on constructing the elemental weapons. Anyone that's worked through or is currently working through Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magick, this is done in that book where you go through each of the elements and construct an elemental weapon. And just because that's a good foundational way of doing things, I kind of wanted to start there as well. So with the Pentacle specifically today, at least, a little bit of the focus, maybe not totally, but a good bit of it is going to be on this concept of the elemental weapons and specifically the earth element being the earth pentacle. Now, I'm not one of these guys that tells you, okay, well, the purpose of the Earth Pentacle is strictly golden dawny, and we use it because we just, we had to make something, and we hold it with two hands and we draw stars with it, and that's what you do with the Earth Pentacle. Video over. Bye. No. Because now, while you can very, very well do that, and I'm not saying it's wrong by any means, and it is very common that people, if you're performing the Watchtower ceremony, or you're very, very accustomed to working in the Israel Regardi style, golden dawny system of magic, whether in a group context or just learning. And hey, I read a book, and I'm doing the Watchtower ceremony, and I pick up my Earth Pentacle and I draw stars with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that it's a much bigger concept, and I wanted to. I'm winging it, if you can't tell. I'm kind of. Anyone knows this channel? I go by inspiration a lot of times. Not that I don't plan, but I don't sit here and read off a script and say I'm going to talk about this, and this. And I knew I wanted to discuss the Pentacle today, the Earth Pentacle, and the whole golden dawny aspect of it and its creation. But I don't have notes on it to where, okay, I'm going to mention this and I'm going to mention this. So I very much am winging it. So if I seem like I'm rambling, just bear with me, and it'll all circle back around. Trust me, I promise. Just the way I operate, folks. Can't help it. It's a blessing and a curse. So yeah, the Earth Pentacle. I wanted to hit it from a couple different angles. One being what I just mentioned, this thing that you can use in Western Hermetic Golden Dawn style magic. Which is very much, I said I wasn't going to talk about it in an AA concept, but it is very much kind of the same thing as far as, the system of initiation, the corresponding Sephira being Earth and Malkuth. So I'm not. What I meant to say with that was I'm not going to read from Crowley's book 4 and say this is what it is and blah blah blah, and let's break it down like some sort of Bible study on the Pantacle from the perspective of Aleister Crowley in Liber Abba, because quite frankly, you can just you can do that for yourselves. You can read it, and there is a lot of people that do that, and I'm trying to do something just a little bit more different with this channel. So those of you that have been watching know that already. So anyway, back on task. I wanted to go a couple different angles. Like I said, one, the Golden Dawn method of construction and what it would be used for. But also, I understand that while most people that are going to watch this channel either come from or are interested in a, very much Western Hermetic tradition, Golden Dawn background, I don't want that to be like that's all there is. I don't want to seem like I'm portraying that message, and I want to give a little bit more info on this whole concept of what can necessarily be done with the Earth Pantacle or Pentacle from a common sense perspective, from a more broad thing. We have a lot of eclectic people. Got to love the eclectic people out there. I'm right here. Raise my hand. So there's many things that can be done, and it's a broad ranging weapon. It is not you must do this. So now there's suggestions, and now if you're working in a Golden Dawn context or in an AA context, I definitely recommend that you work within those parameters because they are set that way for a reason. There's a reason why we use this material. There's a reason why these names are written in the specific order that they are written, and why they are, and why you use this sigil, and why this angel, and why that, and blah, 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 and this color, and that color, and yada, yada, yada. There's reasons for that. So if you are working in that context, you may not want to necessarily stray. There's that whole concept of knowing the rules before you can break them, and I'm very much, I've adapted rules, and I think that's all part of being a magician. But if you're going to work, as I've said in other videos, if you're going to work in strictly a Golden Dawn, having a hard time today. If you're going to work strictly in a Golden Dawn context or in a AA context or system, it makes sense to work strictly within the parameters of that system and master that, not going off and saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. And of course, as with anything else, I'm going to give the advice that I always give. Don't take my word for any of this. Especially if you are working within a order and you are assigned a teacher, before going off and doing some things that I suggest, 1, check them out for yourself, and 2, consult your teacher. I cannot stress this enough. I have said this a million, well, maybe not a million, but I've said it a lot. I do not claim to be any type of guru or all-knowing magical adept. I strictly speak from my own personal perspective, things that have worked for me, things that still work for me, and things that I wish I would have, things that I wish would have been made available to me when I was at the beginning stages. So I'm not saying this is definitely right. I'm saying this is what was right for me, or this is what was wrong for me, and this is how I fixed it whenever I'm talking about anything. So all that rambling to say this: if you're working with a teacher, if you are working with a specific magical or fraternal order, or some sort of system, whether it's a guru, satguru, or a master of sorts, or a tutor, mentor, whatever they're called, whatever grand poobah, whatever their title is to you, check with them before going off on your own and saying, oh, well, Frater Superabo said to do this, and it sounded pretty cool, so I'm just not going to do what my teacher says. I'm going to do this instead. Don't do that. Now, while what I mentioned to you may very well be perfectly fine for you to do, and, I'd like to think I would never, I'm not going to really mention anything on here that I think is dangerous or would harm you or anything like that. But this is my disclaimer to when you're working with a teacher, and in an order structure, the person that is above you, the person that is in charge of your work and in charge of supervision, the person that's supervising your work and dealing out your curriculum, they are supposed to have your best interest at heart, and they are supposed to know exactly, why you are assigned said tasks and why they're doing this, and, can answer your questions and be very helpful. So there may be a reason why they're having you construct, let's say, the Pentacle. There may be a good reason why they say you must construct your Pentacle this way for this purpose and use it for this within this system. There's a reason for it. There's supposed to be, at least. So, again, my point is, don't go off just, doing whatever. I'm all for experimentation and, being eclectic and doing your own thing. That's what magic is. It's development of the self. And, well, that's not what magic is, but that's one of the things we use it for. I don't want anyone misquoting me on that. But what I'm saying is, I'm all for that. It's just, again, if you're working within a specific system, it is best to stay within the parameters of that system because you want to get the most out of that system. And your teacher is there to make sure that happens, and they give you instructions for a reason. And that's, we'll end with that. So that's that. Again, didn't mean to ramble on and on about it, but, again, consult your teacher before going off and doing something else. So back on track, the Pentacle. This is generally, it's a round object, sometimes referred to, like I said, either the Pentacle or the Pantacle, also known as the disc, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have something that is circular, and it represents the element of Earth. Now, there's several things you can do with this. Like I said, there is the, you can use it for the Watchtower ceremony and draw your stars. But in addition to that, when you're constructing your Pantacle or Pentacle, I'm going to do that the whole video, guys. You just might as well get used to it. When constructing your disc, there's a couple things that I'm going to recommend that you do. And at least this is the way I understand it, and I think is good for everyone to do that's on the solo path, or that's, just working from the, from Malkuth up, up the tree of life. And we're in the Earth sphere. Make that a part of the connection process. Now let me be a little bit more specific. When I say that, when you're creating every one of the magical weapons, this is why they're so cool, because it's such a big topic and there's so much to talk about. And I promise this isn't going to be an hour video, but there's so much to say. So my head just goes sometimes. But anyway, the cool thing about constructing the weapons is you are not only putting your energy into it, but you can experience the element that you're working on through the creation process as well. What do I mean by that? When you're making the disc, it can be a very, or at least it should be. I understand that, crafts aren't for everybody, but, I encourage you to try to do something, even if it's just something that is drawn up by you, and then you get someone else to do it, but you draw the original design on paper or whatever. The creation process of the weapons themselves can be very meditative. I understand it can be frustrating. You may have to throw out a couple things. You may have to start over. But I cannot stress this enough. The creation process, whether it is you're doing it, you're, hammering it out, if it's metal, or whether you're engraving it or burning sigils upon it or whatever, whether you're doing all that or if you're painting or however you choose to construct it, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Or whether you're just, coming up with it, like I said, on paper and and you know, like, oh, well, I want this, and then, you know, you take a compass and draw it on paper and blah blah blah, and then you know, you send this off to someone that works with wood or whatever, that has that skill that you feel you're not, you know, as well versed in, and you just want something really really nice. um, the whole process can be this extremely meditative, extremely um, magical. It can be a magical experience, and you can have. I promise you guys, like this happens. You can be working on tools. You can be in the creation process, and you will have revelations or inspirations or just aha moments that can totally like blow your mind. The same as if you were sitting there, or whatever. You can have the same type of experiences just from creating a tool. Now, isn't that cool? I mean, it's just, you know, I know I'm a dork, I'm a nerd when it comes to stuff like this, but I mean, it is just, it's amazing, and it blows my mind that something as simple as, you know, doing, you know, I mean, if you think about it, like, it's on the same level as a child, you know, with a coloring book, or drawing something, and they're in the zone there, and they're just so focused on that one thing, and it's just a beautiful meditative experience. So it's the same thing. You get into this this whole process of creation, and really, what is magic anyway? We're creating things, um, not necessarily just tools, but when we use these tools, or when we do magical rituals, that's the whole point. We are creating something. We are bringing energy in, locking it in to create something, to start a process that brings about a result. So you have made something happen. You have created something. And it's the same thing. So it's that trickle down effect almost, where the things that you will use to do magic are magical themselves, because you use the magical process to create them to begin with. So you were doing magic with them before you even did magic with them, if that makes any sense at all. Um, really think about this. When I'm gonna give everyone some homework again to, you know, go out and create your Earth Pentacle. The video's not done, don't worry, but research it a little more, like, and think about what you might want to put on it. I will give some suggestions. I'm going to get into the creation process in just a second. I just want to ramble on about this just a little bit more, just 1 second. I encourage you, if you, even if you are not one of these, you know, if you think you're not a crafty person or whatever, at least anybody can get a pen and paper and you know, doodle some stuff, or think. Engross yourself in that meditative process of creation, because things like this are going to help you when you go to do actual magic. You are going to need to focus. You're going to need to visualize and see what these things are going to do. You're going to need, all of that is a part of ritual. All of that is a part of magic. So get used to it now. If you've never done it, get used to it in everything. Living magic in every moment of your life. I know that sounds really, really cheesy, probably, and something that, like, a televangelist would say, living for Jesus every moment of your life. Or something. We've all heard stuff like that. But seriously, living your magic in every moment. And that goes into the process of creation of the tools themselves. Now, I promised we'd get practical, so let's get a little practical. There was enough theory there with me talking. So practicality and things you can do. This can be very simple, guys. This can be very simple, or it can be very elaborate. It's all in what you're working with. Now, again, as I've mentioned in the last video, or at least I think I did anyway. If not, I'm saying it now, dang it. You want, at least I think you should always strive to have the best possible weapons. I think it is something that not only is it a hobby, and it's fun, but it adds to it. Now, I'm not saying you can't do, great magic, or you won't have a good earth pentacle if you use a paper plate. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying, if you have the ability to get the best possible thing, what you see as beautiful, that, kind of that AA standard of, oh, this must be this with blah, blah, blah. If you can, you should always strive towards that. Let's not do shortcuts. There are no shortcuts in magic, in my opinion. Just like there's no real shortcuts in life. There's always something, and you want to put your best foot forward. Now, you can work smart. I'm not saying that at all, but you can work smart, but I'm a firm believer in the whole, striving to get the best out of everything. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of something. So that goes into your tools as well. So if you're using that paper plate and you put, 101% into that paper plate Pantacle, and you're only using a brown Sharpie marker because that feels earthy to you, and you got a white paper plate, and you did, you meditated upon the element of earth, and you said invocations over this thing, and you went all out. That's something. That's what you want to do. Right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's that. You might get more magic out of that than if you just go, point, click, and get something. But my point is always strive for the best possible thing, even if it is purchasing something, and that's okay. Again, last thing I said kind of sounded like, it's better to make it than, purchase it. But purchasing it is totally fine. I just always think you need to make it yours somehow. And of course, consecrate your tools. We will go into consecration in another video, but you will want to consecrate every one of your tools, whether they be strictly elemental weapons or whether they be something more along the lines of general use, or something that is for a specific instructions for a grimoire, or anything. You're going to want to consecrate your tools, your weapons. You want to make them holy and special for magic and magical, holy, spiritual purposes. So that'll be in another video. So what can we do? What can you do with this? Where to start? Like I said, it can be as simple as getting a paper plate, drawing a star on it, and picking some earthly some earthly deities, or the angelic hierarchy. You can do any of these things, or you can follow the Golden Dawn system. Now, I don't have mine in front of me, but if you've seen these, the Golden Dawn Pentacle a lot, it's a circular disc, and oddly enough, there's a hexagram on it usually. So you have two interlocking triangles, and then you have the Malkuth sphere with the axe and the four different colors. You can go that route. And in another video, I'll pull out some of my older Golden Dawn style pentacles that I made when I was first starting out, because I did go that route. But it's very simple to look that up and get one of those if you want to follow a guideline with that and use the exact angels. And if you plan on consecrating it that way, that's what you should do. And again, if you plan on working within that system, that's probably what you should do. But just to give some more examples, you can do Um, something you can do something as simple as this, having a plate. This could be your pentacle, a plate, and that's it. You know, and you could say I'm gonna do this, or you could paint on a plate. Um, not going to go into the whole food of the magician thing, like I said, but you know that's kind of fitting that it is a plate, it is a disc, and Crowley made that correspondence. But you know we have something as simple as a plate. You have something or something elaborate. I like to use wood, honestly. The main the main what's the word I'm looking for? The main suggestions, suggested materials that you will usually see in Magic Primer books are either wood or wax, and sometimes you'll see metal like a copper or brass disc, um, or a combination of them. So you can you can do something very simple on copper or whatever, like a star on the disc like that. There we go. Something like that. This is something like that is great for travel purposes, kind of like a mini type of deal. Um, or you can do something more elaborate. As you can, normally it's sitting back there on her altar, but I have what is like that I refer to as the Hecate's or Hecate's Pentacle, which is something more like this, done on wood with the traditional five-pointed star in it and some specific names. Here I used Theban script, which is just her name, and a lot of symbols that pertain to her. What do we got going on here? Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so symbols and sigils that pertain to her. So if you're working in a specific um, a specific like witchcraft tradition, or with a particular god or goddess, usually a goddess for the pentacle. That's just the way it seems to be for me. You may want to construct the earth pentacle to that likeness, having symbols that pertain to that. Um, and again, there's always doing the combos. I'm all for combos too, where you can do something, like I said, on wood, where you have the five-pointed star in the circle. You can do that, and you could still do the Golden Dawn stuff, or you can do the AA stuff and use Thelemic names. Um, but the point is, at least with the Earth Pentacle, back to that meditative state and putting your energy into it and connecting with the element through the process of creation, is finding those deities or angels or spirits or the sigils that you're going to put on it, in addition to the star, which symbolizes man and earth, and the elements, or in this case, sub-elements as well. Because, of course, we have all of the elements within each element. So you have, just within the element of earth, you have fire of earth, water of earth, air of earth, and earth of earth. And, of course, all connected by spirit, the fifth element. So there's just so much to it, and I hope you're starting to realize that it's more than just, okay, I'm gonna do an art project, and got me some wood and a wood burner, and or an engraving tool and got me some paint and blah blah blah, and yeah, it's pretty, ain't it? No, it's there's so much more to it than that. And I'm not saying this to overwhelm anyone or make it seem like this grandiose thing that only these grand, mystical, super meditator, yogi, magus persons can do. Because anyone can do it. But I'm saying it to try as best I can to convey the beauty in the process, if that makes sense. And I hope it does. So when you make this, and especially when talking about beauty and the element of earth, it's a very, the earth has so many beautiful things. That's another thing you could focus on when you're creating this disc. So yeah, I recommend wood. Wax is great too, which brings me into another one. You can get really elaborate, and Crowley loves this one. A lot of people do, and because in a sense it kind of is the perfect pentacle, and that is the Sigillum de Ameth shown here. These take a very long time. And they can be very meditative. Now, this one is not wax, so all the people out there that are saying, you didn't make it of wax, bad magician. I'm working on a wax one. It's in the works, but I like I said, I love the concept of the wooden disc as it pertains to the element of earth. Now, with this, of course, this comes from a very specific system of magic, and this has nothing to do with the Golden Dawn elemental style weapons. Nothing to do with them at all. So this is not I'm not recommending this to be like, okay, this is my golden. I'm going to draw pentagrams in the Watchtower ceremony with this. Now you can if you want to, but the purpose of the sigillum is much more elaborate. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of information and a lot of work that goes into a very meditative process creating this boy. Yeah. So, but as a general pentacle, for something that can be used not just for Enochian magic, but in the AA system, as something that represents the entirety of the universe and how things work. Again, see see book 4 for more on that. I said I wasn't going to get too into that, but this is an example of something like that, something that is all encompassing. But back to strictly the element of earth. Wood is great. I think using a wooden disc, like something that's, you can pick these up at Michael's or get them on Amazon. You don't even have to leave your house. And get a decent size, or you can get something small. I mentioned getting my Golden Dawn ones out in another video. I have very smaller discs, and that's okay too. As you can see with the small copper one, that works fine as well. So it doesn't have to be this huge thing. Now, a lot of times there are parameters set, as I said, where it must be such and such inches thick, and the diameter has to be a circumference or blah blah blah. So there are rules and regulations when it comes to certain things. If you want to work within that system, I say again, try to remain traditional and stick to that as much as possible. So but again, my goal here with this video is to show you about the creation process and how amazing it is, how this can be fun, how this work here can be not just a growth experience for you, but it can be fun. And again, if you're not crafty, you can have them made, or there's plenty that are out there, and there's great magicians and people that do like to do crafts, like myself, that are able to make these things for you And a lot of times, you just work with the person and you say, look, I envision it this way. And then that's your way of connecting with it. That's your way of doing it. And then when you get it, when you receive it, then you pour your energy into that. You meditate on it. You still put your energy into it. You still have a say in the creation process. Even if it's just something as simple as, hey, my name, my motto needs to be on there. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff we could talk about, but what I encourage you to do is to connect with the element while you're doing it. So I'm gonna charge you guys out there to create an earth pentacle. Again, whether it's something as simple as a paper plate that you paint on, or a glass plate that you use, or just anything. I encourage you to start the process and see where it takes you. Pick specific things that pertain to the element of earth while you're creating it. As silly as it sounds to some people, pray. Pray, even whether silently or aloud, while you're doing this, while you're making it, while you're painting, while you're thinking about it. The whole adage of inflame thyself in prayer, that is no joke, guys. I promise you. And again, not to sound like one of these evangelist ministers, but there is power in prayer, my friend. There really is. So just engross yourself in the creation process, and you will be that much better for it. I promise you that. That is something I will guarantee. And I don't like to make too many guarantees on things, but I will guarantee you will be that much better off if you engross yourself, if you really inflame yourself in prayer, if you engross yourself in the creation process. It will make you that much better of a magician. Just dive in. Just dive in head first to in the creation process. Really put your all into it, and that will carry over into the creation process and putting all into your magical rituals. Because if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to see the connection. You'll see the connection, the synchronicity of all of this stuff being connected. That the creation of the tools, the creation of a ritual, and the doing of a ritual. All of these things are intimately linked together. And that is the beauty of the magical process. It's something that's just, it's beyond words, really. And you'll experience the feeling. If you don't already know, you will. You just got to do the work. Like I said, we just do the work, and you'll see gains. Just like anything else, we got to work our spiritual muscles, and part of that is making some stuff, meditating on it. So go out there, get yourself go take a trip to Michael's, or whatever you have out there, AC Moore, Michael's, what's the other one? I don't know. Or go on your Amazon, and they should be paying me for this. Amazon, and get yourself some plain blank wooden discs, get some paint. Go to Walmart even, they've got them there too. Now, a note on some advice. If you're going to be using like what I've done here with a wood burner, the type of wood is important. Now, if you're just painting or something, that's fine. You can get one of the lesser expensive like wood discs, depending, whether they're thin or thick or whatever. Some of these composite woods. But if you want to do something like this, you need to get a decent quality wood. So check on that. Basswood is great. That's what this is. It burns very well. It engraves well too. So if you're using like a Dremel or an engraving tool, and then you plan on filling it in with paint or something like that, basswood works really well. And of course, there's, the option of oak or something like that. But specifically, if you're going to use a wood burner, I definitely recommend basswood. I hope I'm saying that right, but that's what it says on the thing, basswood. And it even says on most of their things, great for wood burning. So if that's the route you want to take, and you're going to create your own, the type of wood does matter. Just like with not necessarily in the same way as when you're selecting a wand, different woods have different properties. I'm strictly speaking from a practical standpoint of what's going to be easier to carve into, to engrave into, what's going to look the best. And you want something that looks good. I mean, let's admit that. We want our weapons, our tools to look pretty. We want them to look nice. We want them to look sweet. Like, I did that. And it's okay. It's okay to have that sense of accomplishment and pride and stuff in your creations. I don't see anything wrong with that. You're not, it's not being arrogant. It's not, but you can feel like, yeah, I did that. That's cool. You can get that same excited feeling when you have success in anything. Why not with the creation of your tools? So I'm going to wrap things up here. Homework, guys, get yourself a disc and start making an earth pentacle. Start meditating on the element of earth and connecting with deity as you understand it, and that element. And, let me know how it goes. Comment below. And take some pictures of I want to see this. So, let's take some pictures of your creations when you get them done, and reach out to me through social media. Send the pictures. I'd love to see what you guys got going on. So yeah, all the links to that are in the description box. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow me on all those. And of course, I also have links to my Patreon if you guys want to support and join the team and get some really, really cool rewards. Patreon is just, it goes a long way to helping us do what we do here. And every little bit helps. So consider supporting through Patreon, the link below in the description. And, last but not least, of course, I have to mention the merch store. Got stuff with the new name on it. Magick Armory, arm yourself, all that good stuff. And, of course, is what we wouldn't be a channel without a mug. So, grab one or 100 of these today and, sport some really cool magical garb in your everyday life as well. All goes into that whole living every moment magically, right, guys? So, yeah, shameless plug. Can't help it. Anyway, thank you again for listening to my rambling and for supporting me every step of the way. We will continue on with this magical tool series. We're going to go straight up the chain. So we talked a little bit about the Earth Pentacle. I'm going to go in order, and we're going to go to the next sphere and talk about the Air Dagger. And might go into a little bit more of the Kabbalistic aspect. I have to do some praying and see where it takes us. So, yeah. Post your work, guys. Take some pictures of them Earth Pentacles and, reach out. Everyone, thank you again for sticking with me. Remember to share this video, subscribe if you're new, and like this video as well. Share it in all your Facebook groups and all that good stuff. Don't forget. Really goes a long way to helping us out. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. If you like this stuff that I made, if you like the quality of my work, I do that. So those things are available, and I'm going to be giving something away that I personally make. So we got to reach that 1,000 subs first, though, because that's what I said. I'm sticking to the word. So let's get to 1,000, and we can do that giveaway. So yeah, every little bit helps. Let's get them subscriptions. Let's do some giveaways, and yeah, thank you guys. You're awesome. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you thought it sucked, thumbs down. It's fine. Anyway, everyone have a great day. HOTEP, and I will see you in the next video.